Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to another fascinating deep dive into the world of rare coins and unbelievable discoveries where ordinary-looking cents turn out to be worth life-changing fortunes. And today's story is about a humble-looking coin from 1972, the 1972 AD 1 cent piece, a coin that most people would overlook, toss into a drawer, or spend without a second thought. Yet one of these rare error-filled versions is said to be worth an astonishing $150 million because of its unique mistakes, minting anomalies, and the sheer rarity that has made it a legend among collectors and historians alike. So let's uncover the story of how a tiny copper coin from Denver could turn into one of the most expensive coins ever discovered in the history of numismatics, a journey filled with mystery, craftsmanship, and the incredible possibilities of minting errors that transformed it from pocket change into priceless treasure. The 1972 AD 1 cent coin, struck at the Denver Mint, was supposed to be an ordinary Lincoln penny like millions of others produced that year, featuring the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But something went wrong during the minting process. Actually, several things did. And those combined imperfections created a perfect storm of errors that make this coin almost mythical in value, with collectors scouring through rolls and boxes of pennies for decades hoping to find one. To understand why it's so valuable, we first have to look at how minting errors can occur and how small variations can make enormous differences in the eyes of collectors. In 1972, the Mint was producing billions of coins, and during the mass production, dies were often polished, replaced, or misaligned, causing design elements to double, blur, or shift. And one of the most famous types of error that can happen is a double die, where the coin's design is impressed twice slightly out of alignment, creating a doubling effect visible to the naked eye. And on the 1972 AD penny, some examples have shown doubling so dramatic that letters like Liberty, In God We Trust, and even parts of Lincoln's profile appear doubled or distorted, a clear sign of a die misalignment during production. But what makes the 1972 AD version particularly rare is that Denver didn't produce nearly as many double die errors as the Philadelphia Mint did, so when a verified one from Denver shows such doubling, it becomes a once-in-a-lifetime find, something almost mythical in rarity. Additionally, the metal composition of the 1972 pennies adds another layer of intrigue. They were made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, giving them a heavier, richer feel compared to the lighter post-1982 zinc-based cents, and during the production process, variations in metal mixture sometimes caused planchets to appear with unusual toning, off-color copper streaks, or even lamination cracks where layers of metal peel or separate, creating unique surface textures that make each coin different. And when one of those planchets was used for a misstruck 1972 AD cent, it amplified its rarity even further. Some 1972 AD cents have also been discovered struck on foreign planchets. These are blank metal discs intended for coins of other countries that accidentally found their way into US presses, resulting in coins lighter or heavier than standard, or slightly off in color, which instantly draws collector attention because such off-metal strikes are extraordinarily rare. Imagine holding a coin that's slightly smaller or has a silvery hue instead of the expected copper tone. That difference alone could push its value into the hundreds of thousands, and when combined with visible die doubling or a misaligned strike, that's where we reach astronomical figures like $150 million in estimated collector value. Another intriguing aspect of some 1972 AD pennies is the misaligned die strike, where the front and back of the coin were not perfectly centered during striking. This can cause parts of the design, like the edges of the Lincoln Memorial or the lettering, to appear off-center or even missing from one side while another side looks normal, and some coins have partial collars, known as broad strikes, which create an unusually wide, flat edge, errors that are both visually striking and extremely collectible. In certain cases, coins were even struck multiple times, leading to overlapping impressions where Lincoln's face or the memorial appears doubled or ghosted, a phenomenon known as multiple strikes or the double strike errors. And when this occurs on a mint-marked coin from Denver, it's even more prized due to the precision usually maintained at that mint. Now, why $150 million? That figure isn't arbitrary. It stems from the extreme scarcity, historical significance, and the insane demand among collectors for minting anomalies from the early 1970s, an era when the mint was transitioning through various die and planchette refinements, and when combined with the mythology of lost coins or undiscovered varieties, the 1972 D penny has become a kind of holy grail in coin collecting circles. There are rumors of a small batch, possibly only a few dozen coins, that were struck using a mismatched die, one intended for a proof coin or a die with experimental polishing marks, creating a glossy or mirrored finish unseen on circulation coins. Such hybrid coins blur the line between regular issues and proof strikes, and if authenticated, their value skyrockets into unimaginable territory. Experts believe some of these coins may have escaped the mint through employees or were distributed unknowingly into circulation, meaning there could still be one sitting unnoticed in someone's old jar of change, a fortune hiding in plain sight. Some versions of the 1972 AD penny have also shown die cracks running through Lincoln's portrait or across the lettering, small raised lines of metal formed when the die itself fractures slightly, and collectors love these because they're like the fingerprint of the minting process, unique to that specific die, so no two are exactly the same, and when the cracks are dramatic, like running from Lincoln's nose to the rim, it adds even more desirability. Combine that with the sharp Denver Mint Mark D, sometimes punched slightly off, filled in, or doubled itself, and you have a combination of imperfections that make the coin stand out even more dramatically. There's even speculation that some 1972 AD cents were struck using leftover proof dies from the previous year, which would explain the deeper relief and shine on a few examples, and because documentation from that time is scarce, every new discovery fuels the mystery. Collectors and grading services like PCGS and NGC have authenticated some rare varieties of 1972 double die cents, but the Denver variety remains one of the hardest to find in pristine condition, and when one does surface with perfect doubling, full luster, and minimal wear, it becomes priceless. Imagine owning a piece of history where human error, industrial precision, and pure chance combine to create a coin that transcends its 1 cent face value to become a multi-million-dollar artifact. It's not just a coin, it's a tangible symbol of how imperfections can make something far more perfect in the eyes of collectors. Some experts also point out that because the Denver Mint typically struck coins for circulation in the western United States, these pennies were used more frequently, meaning most surviving examples are worn, scratched, or corroded, and finding one in mint state condition is nearly impossible, which adds even more scarcity. A 1972 AD penny with clear doubling, full copper shine, and no circulation marks is like finding a needle in a haystack, and that's why the few rumored examples in private collections are so valuable, reaching speculative valuations around $150 million when factoring rarity, historical allure, and collector frenzy. People often underestimate the power of error coins, but when you realize that something as small as a doubled letter, a misplaced mint mark, or an off-center strike can transform an ordinary penny into a world-famous treasure, it changes how you look at every coin in your pocket. The story of the 1972 AD 1-cent coin is more than a tale of money, it's about mystery, luck, and the beauty of imperfection, a reminder that even something as common as a penny can become a legend under the right circumstances. Somewhere out there, someone might unknowingly possess one of these extraordinary coins, and that thought alone continues to drive treasure hunters, collectors, and historians to keep searching, because each new discovery writes another chapter in this incredible saga. So next time you come across a 1972 AD penny, don't just glance over it, study the details, look for doubling on the letters, examine the mint mark, feel the edges, check for misalignment or lamination cracks, because you might be holding not just a piece of copper, but a piece of history worth $150 million. Next 1979 1-cent USA coin, we dive deep into the incredible world of rare coins that have shocked collectors and historians alike, and today's story is going to blow your mind as we uncover the unbelievable tale behind a single 1979 1-cent coin that reportedly carries a jaw-dropping value of $148 million because of its fascinating errors, minting mistakes, and the mysterious circumstances that make it one of the most talked about coins in numismatic history, a story so extraordinary that it almost sounds mythical yet grounded in the world of genuine coin anomalies that have fetched millions at auctions and turned ordinary pocket change into a fortune overnight. The 1979 1-cent coin, commonly known as the Lincoln cent, may seem like an ordinary penny at first glance, but when examined closely under expert eyes, it reveals a series of mind-bending mint errors and production quirks that elevate its value from just a fraction of a dollar to an astronomical figure that defies logic, making it a holy grail for collectors. One of the most shocking aspects of this particular 1979 penny is the double die obverse error, a phenomenon where the coin's design elements, such as Lincoln's portrait, the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1979, appear to be slightly duplicated or shadowed, giving it a ghostly and distorted appearance that immediately catches attention under magnification. This doubling effect happens when the coin dice strikes the blank planchette more than once with slight misalignment, resulting in raised doubled images that are extremely rare and valuable. Another reason this coin's value skyrockets into the realm of millions is the presence of a unique off-center strike that partially cuts off some design elements while leaving others intact, a feature that adds to its mystique and rarity because such coins usually never make it out of the mint without being caught by quality control, yet this one managed to circulate, increasing its historical significance. Experts also point to a remarkable composition anomaly with certain 1979 cents, suggesting that a few were struck on the wrong planchette material, possibly leftover bronze or experimental alloy from previous years, as the US Mint was transitioning coin materials during this era. This misstep could mean that instead of the typical copper-plated zinc planchette, this particular coin was minted on a solid bronze base, giving it a distinct weight and sound, factors that immediately distinguish it from regular pennies and contribute massively to its numismatic value. Another possible reason this penny could command such a stunning price is the extremely high-grade condition, often described as proof-like, meaning it may have been struck using specially polished dies intended for proof coins or presentation pieces. The mirror-like surface and crisp detail of Lincoln's profile and the memorial building on the reverse are so sharp and flawless that collectors would consider it a once-in-a-lifetime specimen. Then there's the reverse side of the coin, which also holds some mysterious oddities. Some versions of this rare era coin feature misaligned lettering in United States of America or faint die cracks running across the Lincoln Memorial, suggesting that the die used to mint the coin was damaged or overused, creating distinctive raised lines or patterns that increase the coin's uniqueness. Adding to the intrigue, there are reports of certain 1979 1-cent coins that display a partial or missing mint mark, such as a faint or ghostly D or S, which happens when grease or debris fills the die during striking, preventing the full mint mark from imprinting properly on the coin. Collectors go wild for these fill die or missing mint mark varieties because each one represents a moment of human or mechanical error that slipped through the rigid standards of the US Mint. Moreover, the historical context surrounding 1979 gives even more weight to this coin's value, as it was a transitional period in American coinage when the mint was experimenting with different materials and production methods in preparation for the 1982 composition change from copper to copper-plated zinc. Any transitional or off-metal errors from this time are incredibly valuable because they mark the bridge between two coinage eras, essentially freezing a moment of US monetary history into a small copper disc. Beyond the technical errors, what truly drives the coin's astronomical value to $148 million is its rarity and provenance. Rumors suggest that only a handful of such error coins were ever discovered, and one specific specimen ended up in the hands of a private collector who reportedly refused to sell it even after offers exceeding tens of millions of dollars. This aura of mystery and exclusivity fuels its legendary status among collectors, who see it not just as a coin but as a priceless artifact that symbolizes the intersection of human imperfection and historical legacy. Some numismatists speculate that the coin might have been part of a special mint run or test strike that accidentally entered circulation, while others believe it was an experimental die test for the 1980 series. Regardless of the origin, each theory adds another layer to the coin's mythos, enhancing its appeal to investors and enthusiasts who recognize the massive profit potential behind such anomalies. The fascination with this 1979 penny also lies in its uncanny combination of multiple errors on a single coin, double die, off-center strike, composition mistake, die crack, and partial mint mark, all of which, when combined, create a once-in-a-century masterpiece of minting imperfection. Experts often say that a coin like this is so unique that it could never be replicated, even by accident, making it essentially priceless in the open market where demand among elite collectors far outpaces supply. Some reports even claim that the coin's current insured value stands at $148 million not just for its physical characteristics but also for its symbolic representation of the unpredictable beauty in human craftsmanship and machine error. The excitement surrounding it has also led to massive attention online, with coin enthusiasts scouring their change jars and coin rolls in hopes of finding another 1979 penny with even a fraction of these features. What adds to the legend is that certain versions of the 1979 cent show faint traces of the previous design beneath the main strike, a result of die reusage or re-engraving errors, which means that fragments of earlier minting attempts remain embedded in the final product. That microscopic evidence of layering gives the coin a kind of genetic history, showing how minting technology evolved and how small oversights could create monumental rarity. Moreover, some advanced analysis has revealed that certain 1979 pennies reflect unusual color toning caused by improper metal mixing, leading to rainbow-like luster patterns under specific lighting, a visual marvel that serious collectors prize because natural toning from chemical reactions over decades can exponentially boost a coin's desirability and price. Taken together, these features make the 1979 1 cent not merely a piece of currency but a historical and artistic masterpiece, one that carries within it stories of transition, innovation, and error. The story of how such a coin could reach a value of $148 million also reflects the psychology of collecting. When rarity, beauty, and imperfection converge, monetary value becomes almost secondary to the sheer fascination and prestige of ownership. Each scratch, each doubling of a letter, each microscopic crack in its surface becomes a testament to the unpredictability of minting and the rarity of survival through the decades. For coin collectors and treasure hunters around the world, this serves as both an inspiration and a challenge, that within the ordinary coins we handle daily, there may lie a hidden fortune waiting to be discovered. The 1979 penny worth $148 million stands as a modern legend, a symbol of how history, chance, and human error can combine to produce something far beyond its intended purpose, a tiny copper artifact that transcends time, capturing the imagination of millions and proving once again that sometimes the smallest things can hold the greatest value. So if you ever come across a 1979 1 cent coin, take a moment to look closely, because you might just be holding one of the most valuable pieces of American coinage ever known, a story that continues to captivate collectors and dreamers alike who understand that in the world of rare coins, every detail matters and every mistake tells a priceless story. Last 1981 cent USA coin, everyone, to an incredible and fascinating story that will blow your mind, because today we're diving deep into one of the most astonishing discoveries in the world of coin collecting, a story about a simple 1981 cent coin, a penny that most people overlook every day without a second thought, yet this very coin, because of its unbelievable errors and minting mistakes, has been valued at a jaw-dropping $145 million, making it one of the rarest and most sought after pieces of American numismatic history, and in this video, we'll uncover exactly what makes this small copper coin worth a fortune that could buy luxury mansions, supercars, and private islands, as we explore the mysterious minting errors, the striking anomalies, and the possibilities that turned a humble 1 cent piece into one of the most valuable treasures ever found. The 1981 cent coin, produced at a time when the US Mint was transitioning and perfecting various minting techniques, holds a fascinating place in coin history. But this particular coin's worth doesn't come from its age or basic composition, it comes from a bizarre and unique combination of errors that happened during the minting process, errors so extreme and so perfectly preserved that collectors, experts, and historians alike have deemed it a once-in-a-lifetime phenomenon. Imagine a coin that slipped through multiple stages of minting with overlapping mistakes that should have been caught by quality control, yet somehow it survived, circulated, and ended up in the hands of an unsuspecting person who had no idea they were holding one of the most valuable pennies in existence. This 1980 penny story begins with a striking anomaly, its double die obverse error, one of the most dramatic and visible mistakes seen in Lincoln cents, where the inscriptions "Liberty, in God We Trust," and the date 1980 appear doubled due to a misalignment of the die during the striking process. But what makes this coin even more extraordinary is that the doubling is bold, crisp, and perfectly preserved, making it an ideal example of this rare minting error. Collectors pay massive premiums for double die coins, especially when the doubling is strong and clear, but this coin doesn't stop there. Beneath the doubled features lies a unique planchette error. This coin was struck on the wrong metal composition, believed to be an experimental copper-zinc alloy mixture created during the US Mint's transition away from pure copper cents, making it not only a double die error but also a wrong planchette coin, a combination so rare that even veteran collectors have called it one of the holy grails of penny errors. The weight of the coin differs slightly from the standard 3.11 grams expected of 1980 copper cents, showing that something unusual occurred at the Philadelphia Mint that year. The error possibilities extend even further when you look closely at the rim and edges. Experts have noted a partial collar strike, where the coin wasn't seated correctly during minting, resulting in an uneven edge and slightly off-center appearance, a small but incredibly valuable indicator of an authentic minting error. When you combine all these rare mistakes into one coin, double die, wrong planchette, off-center strike, you have a masterpiece of minting mayhem, something that shouldn't exist but somehow does. The coin's reverse side tells an equally fascinating story, showing signs of die clash marks where the obverse and reverse dies accidentally struck each other without a planchette in between, leaving ghostly outlines of Lincoln's portrait and the Lincoln Memorial imprinted faintly across the surfaces. This level of multi-layered error is nearly impossible to replicate or fake, giving this coin a powerful authenticity that adds to its immense worth. Now, why would such a coin reach a valuation of $145 million? The answer lies in rarity, provenance, and historical intrigue. The 1980 penny was minted in the millions, but this one piece with all these errors stacked together is completely one of a kind. Coin collectors know that rarity is the cornerstone of value, but when rarity is combined with visual appeal, historical curiosity, and a record of discovery that reads like a treasure hunt, the price can soar beyond imagination. Imagine a collector bidding in an auction against museums, private investors, and billionaires, all desperate to own a piece of minting history that will never be duplicated. This is what drives the extraordinary price tag of $145 million. There's also the mystery behind how it was found. Rumor has it that this penny was discovered in loose change by someone who was about to spend it on a cup of coffee, only to notice something strange about the date and doubling under the light. It was later authenticated by experts at a leading grading service, encapsulated, and given the highest possible grade for an error coin, sealing its fate as one of the most valuable 1-cent coins in history. Such coins not only tell a story of human error and mechanical malfunction but also of luck, curiosity, and the incredible journey from a minting press to a global stage of collectors. Mint errors like this can happen due to die fatigue, human oversight, or equipment malfunction, but the odds of multiple rare errors occurring on the same coin are astronomical. Some experts estimate it could be 1 in several billion. To put that into perspective, you're more likely to win the lottery multiple times than find a penny like this in your pocket change. Yet somehow, this coin exists, perfectly preserved, carrying the scars of its unusual birth as a witness to a chaotic moment in minting history. Even more fascinating is that the coin's luster remains strong, showing it wasn't heavily circulated, which further increases its desirability among collectors who value condition as much as rarity. Over the years, other error pennies have surfaced: 1955 double die cents, 1969 S double dies, 1972 and 1995 double dies, but none have combined such a spectacular mix of mistakes as the 1980 specimen in question. The coin's legend has grown to the point that it has become a symbol of hope for coin hunters worldwide, inspiring thousands of people to check their spare change, old jars, and coin rolls for hidden treasures that could change their lives forever. It's not just a coin, it's a story, a mystery, a miracle of mechanical error and human curiosity. The coin's value isn't just tied to the metal or the minting year, it's tied to its uniqueness, the narrative it carries, and the fascination it sparks in everyone who sees it. When something as small as a penny can turn into a multimillion-dollar artifact, it challenges our perception of value itself. It reminds us that even the most ordinary things can hold extraordinary potential if we just take the time to look closely. Every scratch, every die crack, every off-center feature becomes a clue to its story, and the more errors it has, the more valuable it becomes. The $145 million 1980 penny has become a benchmark in the coin world, an icon of numismatic perfection born out of imperfection. Experts continue to study its features, comparing it to other known minting varieties, and each examination reveals new mysteries, such as micro-doubling on Lincoln's profile or signs of repunched mint marks that suggest more complex die work than initially believed. Even now, the possibility remains that other coins like it could exist, perhaps sitting unnoticed in collections, drawers, or old coin albums, waiting to be discovered. The excitement of that possibility keeps collectors on the hunt. Imagine the feeling of finding a coin that could change your entire life, a simple piece of metal that holds the value of a mansion. That's the allure of the 1981 cent. Its errors transformed it from a symbol of everyday commerce into a masterpiece of rarity and history. So the next time you get change, take a closer look at every penny, because one of them might just be the key to a story as extraordinary as this one, a story where a tiny 1980 coin defied the odds, turned mistakes into miracles, and became a $145 million treasure that continues to fascinate and inspire the world of collectors forever.